There you are.
Got it. Made it. Hang on.
Yeah.
There we go.
All
All
right.
righty.
Part
Luddites
two.
unite. Luddites unite.
Part two, goddammit.
Part two. God damn it. Where were
We're
we?
we're like
I've
we're
got
gonna
drunk since we last talked. No, I'm just kidding.
hey, so we're just talking in the first part about the international, uh, fight for the narrative on and the commonalities between the political right, the populist right and the populist left, right, and how mainstream media kind of forces us to go down one lane, right, where it's us, it's red against blue, us against them, and forces us to have very simplistic debates, right? Because that's how and Trump knows this. Trump basically knows that's what did he say at the very end of all that BS, that press release? Hey, it's going to make for great television.
Great
See,
team.
remember that?
Yeah. He's all transactional, man.
Right,
He's still on The Apprentice. He's still the you're fired guy.
right, right. Yeah,
America
but it
loves
was a but it was, I mean, but it was, so given though, just to wrap this part, the international and coming down to the national and local, even though we know, you and I know, leftists know, that what we're being told is that Russia is the bad guy, and we need to blindly embrace all things Ukrainian, and we have to, no matter what, pour all billions of dollars to protect the sovereignty of Ukraine, which generally speaking, yeah, that is true, right? But that's the simplistic narrative that we're being forced to engage in, right? Where it's more complex than that. Even though we know this, right? Still, the way that Trump engaged with the leader of a sovereign nation was unbelievably horrendous. It was just like, I mean, are you freaking kidding me? Because I mean, it's like,
he treated him like a puppet. Which,
oh,
come on, I mean, the irony of that is the U.S., including Trump in his first term, piled on all kinds of armaments onto Zelensky. We said, "You're our puppet. Go fight the Russians." Now
right,
it's like, "You're our puppet. Shut up. You owe us to the war that we forced you or encouraged you to get into, and now we want all your minerals." I mean, but
right,
I try to always look at the positive, Miguel. I always show
right,
and the positive here is maybe every other country now will know that the United States is not a reliable partner. That we're in it
right,
to take their minerals. And it's that old question like, gee, how did our oil get under your country's ground?
right,
That's our oil. Those are our precious minerals. And you might think it's your country, but we have God-given mandate to take your resources from you to build up our empire. Those days are changing now.
yeah,
After World War II, we thought we're the main guys. This is our world. We'll do whatever the hell we want. We could promise the Russians we're going to expand NATO. Screw it. Expand NATO. Take over the Baltics. Do everything. We're the king. Nobody's going to contest us. Who's going to contest us? China?
right,
Yeah. Well, China and Russia will never be united after Kissinger and Nixon. Yeah, no, they're united now. No,
right,
they'll never go with Iran. They're Muslim. No, they're united with and Brazil and India. And South Africa, BRICS. It is no longer a unipart. Much as we hate to think it, we are no longer the top dogs in charge anymore. There's other people and to think. I mean, the greatest. I mean, Panama Canal. Yeah, that's typical. That was Reagan. We bought it. We paid for it. It's ours. But to go after Greenland. I mean, don't forget
right.
Denmark is part of NATO. Are we going to
Hmm.
go to war with NATO? Maybe that's what the Zelensky thing. You guys are all on your own. By the way, we're taking over Greenland, so screw you, NATO. I mean,
Right.
and of course the Russians and the Chinese, they just got to be looking at it going, keep it up, Trump, keep it up, because right now you got America and Israel. We're pissing off the Canadians. We're pissing off the Brits. Which,
Everybody.
of course, again, here's one where Trump. It's like, okay, yeah, piss off the Brits. I'm with you there, Trump.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, it's ridiculous. The whole thing is ridiculous. But we're not in charge, and because the empire is crumbling, These are
Right.
the things that we're going to see.
And I hope, and hopefully what I mean, I wish I could. I mean, I see your optimism, or the lining,
sarcastic.
what's got, yeah, the,
Yeah,
what do you call it, the um
yeah.
yeah, the silver lining, right? But in some ways I think that this is just making the liberals just kind of uh double down on their
Oh yeah,
narrative, right? It's kind of like, see what Trump is doing, and so therefore we have to double down on our support for Ukraine, and so don't even question the billions that are being sent. You know what I mean? So as opposed to being on the other hand, though, I think that you're right. I think that the world and locally, the folks that are making an effort are being more critical thinkers, or they're thinking, oh, huh. And hopefully, there's some people that's going, oh, okay. So the U.S. is not the white hat country that comes and saves the world. The U.S. is no longer the World War II heroes,
right.
right? There was a golden time in our history when the U.S. was seen as a beacon of democracy, and
Sure.
and well deserved in many ways during that time, right? We had a golden age where, like, oh, the U.S. actually, they
Yeah, World
they
War II. That was the
World War
last
II.
war we thought that was justified, was World War II.
That was the last that
That's
we still see ourselves as World War II USA,
right.
right? And now we're not no longer World War
Yeah.
II USA, just like
We're
with
no longer, we're
Israel.
no longer the ones that helped Russia and Europe defeat the Nazis.
No,
Now we're the ones that destroyed Vietnam. Now
right,
we're the ones that destroyed Iraq. Now there
right,
were, what victory have we had? Grenada. We invite we invaded the
right,
we invited the mighty nation of Grenada and beat those Cuban construction workers to a
right.
pulp.
Yeah,
Wow, we're so great. This is ridiculous, man. This
yeah,
is ridiculous. And we're going to have to come to I mean, England is barely coming to recognize that they're no longer an empire. I mean,
right.
they got Northern Ireland, which is slipping out of their hands. They got Scotland, which doesn't want to be there. It's pretty sure it's going to be Little England, and not and even Wales is talking about. So we have to adjust to this world. I mean, Darwin's theory wasn't the strongest survived. He was the species that adapts the best survive.
Mm-hmm.
We have
Mm-hmm.
not adapted to this new world that's happening.
Yeah,
Trump wants to desert Europe so that he can put all the forces into fighting China.
yeah,
Well, that's going to be a different fight than we've ever had before,
yeah,
because China is. I mean, look what they're doing. We go around the world. We say, "Hey, well, we'll give you all the armaments you want to kill our adversaries, and you give us the resources of your country." China goes around and says, Can we build a bridge for you? Can we build a factory for you? Can
yeah.
we put you into debt to us in the future rather than in
Hey,
debt to the United States
hey,
for
Scott,
arms?"
just were you following the whole red TikTok
A little
deal
bit.
that was happening? Yeah, there were some folks that when TikTok was first banned or under threat of ban, people were like, ironically going to because of the whole, because the Republicans were saying and the Democrats were saying, oh my gosh,
Right,
TikTok is controlled by China, so
right.
we need to do something about it. And ironically, people said, okay, screw you. If you're going to ban TikTok,
Yeah,
we're going to go straight
of
to
course.
China and to
But
use
look
their
at,
red their
are you aware of Matt Taibbi and
yeah,
Schellenberger and the Twitter files?
you're
The
right.
U.S. government has been influencing the U.S. media all along. It's just coming
Right,
out now. And
right.
honestly, here go again, someone that I don't like and don't support, who said something. Yeah, when J.D. Vance got up and he told the Europeans, "You guys are violating. We have a First Amendment right in the United States. You guys are violating it left and right, England and all over the place." And
Hmm.
it's true, because they don't have a Bill of Rights, even though we violate it too. But
Right.
they don't even have a basis to fight it. And so the government is arresting people for things they are saying on TikTok,
Mm,
things they're
yeah.
saying on Facebook. Man, that should be anathema to any American, that because I say something you dislike, I get banned. But
It's the contradictions people are making. And so the thing with the red TikTok, or the red note, I think it's called Red Note, I think it was,
yeah,
is that people were suddenly going on there, and it was more kind of like an Instagram platform. But what was interesting about it is that people that were going over there that were starting to have conversations with the people of China. And so the people of China were like trolling the shit out of us. They're kind of like, oh, you guys have homeless? We don't really have that problem. Shit, you're being foreclosed upon. Look at how we're living.
Of course,
You're having problems with groceries? Oh, well, shit, we're doing pretty good over here.
of
And
course,
so it was,
I would counter that. Yes, that I
yeah,
get the point. I would counter that. I was like, hey, China, how many independent labor unions you got? When
yeah.
was the
No, there's
last time you had a strike?
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, it's not. I mean, definitely. There is the oppressive, nature of the Chinese government,
Sure.
but there were some contradictions that were highlighted, and it backfired because what they were trying to say is that we don't want China to take over, because if China takes over, then we're gonna we're gonna indoctrinate people, and people are gonna become lefty commies and that kind of stuff. So what happened is that you scared, because of the threat of banning TikTok, right? They scared people into going to Red Note, and they were having these conversations with Chinese people, and we were like, well, holy shit. And they were actually seeing things in China. We're like, look at our infrastructure, right? Like, and wow, our infrastructure is crumbling. But anyway, that was my point.
There's no
Yeah,
country in the history of the world that advanced so quickly from poverty to wealth as China has. And
right.
I mean, China. It's an interesting, call it communist China. Really, they call themselves socialists, and even that's debatable. But what they did, and I'm no expert, but what they have in China is 50% private and 50% government controlled.
Yeah,
That's how they control over. They allow private enterprise, but the government controls the limits of it.
yeah. And
That,
I'm not saying that this was an opportunity to suddenly embrace the Chinese
right, of
structure. What I'm
course.
saying is that it exposes what we don't have.
That's right.
And so how we get those things we don't have is a whole different story. So
Right.
that's where the beauty and the irony is, that that's not what they wanted. That's the last thing they wanted. So it kind of
Oh,
backfired them. You know what I mean? It's like, you
the
know,
one, the one great comment I remember. I don't remember who made it, but it was. I'll never forget. It was like, communist China, a very repressive system they have over there. They only have one political party. Where in America, we have two.
yeah, right. Yeah. Oh,
So much
exactly.
better. We have two political parties.
That's the thing. And I think that
A
at
little
some
bit.
point, I think we have I mean, if we continue to have this, the populist left, populist right conversations, I think we can inch towards parliamentary representation, ranked choice voting, so we can inch towards a more democratic, more, so that then we can have alliances like like they have in Europe, where
Yeah.
it's like, where hey, there may be kind of a conservative, kind of a racist, kind of, right-wingy group. We don't embrace that crap, but we do embrace the economic stuff. And certainly we both don't want any of the Trumpy, like billionaire bullshit. So we're going to ally on that. So I mean, I'm no expert in these forms of government, but there's an ability to at least do that, to have those kind of coalitions, whereas we don't have those coalition opportunities, because it's just the Democrats and the Republicans, and that's what dominates. But hey, so bringing it down back. Okay, so we're coming from Ukraine, swinging down to the local. So the one thing, Scott, that was really caught my attention was the whole Boston TikTok thing going. Okay, so let's get into that. So it's really funny. So I've known you for decades, right? But really started working together and for the past 20, 25 years or so. And one of the things that I've always appreciated about your perspective was that Irish kind of like is there a word for it, where it's kind of like no nonsense.
Blarney,
Huh?
Blarney.
Is it Blarney? Tell us what that means. What is
A
that?
lot of people call it Blarney.
Okay, what is it?
Well, Blarney is kind of like bullshit. Like I said, Irish diplomacy, the ability to tell someone to go to hell and have them look forward to the trip. Uh,
Totally, yeah.
Blarney is based on Blarney Castle, where it's kind of a scary thing. Blarney Castle. You go in there, and you got to bend over backwards. You know,
We've been there, and
yeah,
touch or kiss something, and yeah.
was supposed to give you the gift of gab and that kind of stuff.
Yes,
It's actually
yes.
it was the Queen of England called the Irish full of blarney. So it's not a. But I don't know what it. I don't know.
Well, it's refreshing because the Blarney, the Irish Blarney, is kind of a cousin of the no nonsense East Coast back and forth. Whereas in New York City, in California, okay, let's take the two coasts, right? In California, someone can't come out, they can't come out right and tell you that they don't like you. In California, it's kind of like, hey Scott, so how you doing? How was your day? That's great. So how's Bernella? How's the family? That's great. Okay, so what you got going on next week? Oh, so you're gonna go to that meeting? Oh, okay. Well, I kind of want to go. And so you think that's a great meeting, huh? Okay, well, good. We'll I wish you the best. I'm not gonna go, but yeah. And if you ever want to talk about that meeting and the people there, man, let's have a beer, right? That's the California thing, right? At the New York thing, it's like, hey Scott, so are you going to that meeting? Yeah. The fuck is your problem? Fucking idiot. Why are you going to that? The fuck are you? I thought you were, all about this issue. And he goes, well, I'm not. He goes, well, that's fucked up. I don't know what your problem is, right? So it's kind of this honesty where it's like basically not so in California, well, in New York, they'll stab you in the front. In California, they'll stab you in the back, right? So the niceties, so that's the kind of and so what got me thinking about that, Scott, was like what's going on with the whole Boston thing. That the immigrations are Tom, whatever the hell his name is, Pullman or whatever. I guess that there was talk about bringing ICE into Boston. I don't know if you heard about that. They're and so I guess he says something like the czar says something like, well, we're going to Boston and we're bringing hell with us. And so this whole thing erupted in reaction to that, whereas a bunch of like Bostonians, obviously the majority
Boston,
being Irish.
We live in hell already. We're already living in hell. That kind of stuff.
You saw that, yeah.
Very funny.
And there was this thing which kind of caught my attention. And there's this guy, and he's really funny. And he goes, here's what he said. He goes, "You're fucking telling me they want to bring ICE to Boston? The borders wants to bring ICE to Boston? Good fucking luck. I've already stocked up on Newports and Bud Heavies. I can have the homeless raised like a fucking militia in a day. Because you are fucking telling me they want to bring ICE to Boston? What the fuck? Good luck." Anyways, and then the other thing in another post he said something like, yeah, we're racist in Boston, right? We're racist in Boston, but more than racist, we're really against the cops and the police and all that, So basically, and then the other thing he said, he goes, "Hey, listen, we got immigrant neighborhoods. We hate them, but we hate the police more. Don't mess with our immigrants. So if you're gonna be trying to, deport Juan Gonzalez, no fucking way you're gonna do that, right?" So it's kind of an interesting kind of I don't know. What's your take on that?
Well, I mean, the whole immigration question. I mean, for many of the Irish, at least the Irish who are conscious of their history,
Right.
I mean, our relatives used to come to this country, and there were signs up that said "No blacks, no Irish, no dogs allowed in this premises." So,
Right.
The Irish are relatively new recruits to the white race. You have to remember the Irish were considered. I mean, the British books, school books, were given to kids showing pictures of the black African and the Anglo-Saxon, and the Irish were the link between the savage blacks and the blue blood English. Those that have an understanding of their history, don't do it. But the other thing about the other Irish thing that's great is the definition of Irish Alzheimer's. Irish Alzheimer's is you forget everything but the grudge. And of course, the grudge is colonialism. The grudge is what the British have done to us.
Right.
So yeah, there is an Irish spirit. It's it's not as intense as it once was, because I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that the Irish signed with the English and the Americans the Good Friday Peace Agreement in 1999, and so that was a very important thing for our history. I
Hmm.
remember getting into arguments with people because I've been involved with the Irish struggle forever. But I remember, in the 90s, before the Good Friday Agreement, getting into a horrible argument with a guy in a bar, go figure, about how the Irish are never. Those people will never sign a peace agreement. Those people, all they know how to do is fight, fight, fight. They, blah, blah, blah. And and it was a racist attitude. The fighting Irish, the whole Notre Dame fighting, little leprechaun fighting. All they know how to do is fight. They can't. They're not reasonable. They're not. They're savages. We were treated as savages that only knew how to blow up things. Well, a lot of that's changed, and Ireland's
Hmm.
become an incredibly successful country. I
Right.
mean, I go back to Belfast now, and I remember going to Northern Ireland before 1999, and there's British troops out on the street. They're pointing their guns right at your face as you walk down the street. You're harassed. They throw you up against. Where are you coming from? How long are you going to be in Ireland, Mister Egan? And I remember them saying that to me one time. British troops on Belfast. I said, "Well, how long are you going to be in Ireland?" Out of the car, they searched the whole car. That was the harassment. Well, that's the kind of harassment that Hispanics are gonna face in this country
Right.
with deportation. It's the same kind of militarization of our border and now militarization of our communities that are going to harass them. I mean, they had a thing in Ireland called internment, where they just went through the streets and they arrested anyone that they thought was pro-Irish Republican, pro-Irish unity. Um, and so, the Irish have faced that shit. They look at ICE and they look at a lot of Irish cops. So that thing where the Irish don't like cops isn't necessarily true, but they certainly don't like people coming into their communities and doing sweeping arrests for people who are different looking
Well, and
because
it's not even really not liking cops. It's not liking overblow repressive authority. It's
authoritarianism.
what it is
Yeah,
because there's so many Irish cops. I mean, there's famous, New York and Boston famous
sure.
for Irish cops, right? Well,
My grandfather, who was an immigrant from Ireland, was an Irish cop in,
right.
in New York City, and the police chief at the time when he was a cop was Teddy Roosevelt before he ever
Mm,
became president.
hmm.
And the stories that I heard, my grandfather hated Teddy Roosevelt for various reasons. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. But yeah, no, that's cops and firefighters. Those are the jobs. Those are some of the toughest jobs.
Right.
That in a lot of cases, that were the jobs the Irish got because nobody wanted them. So yeah,
Yeah,
that's
it's the feds, it's the authority, it's the, and a lot of and I think a lot of just the your average cops, Irish or whatever, you know, eh, there's an expectation, or there is a I don't know, the best case scenario is for them just to do just the cop duties, right? Just, keep neighborhoods safe, get the bad guy that robbed the bank or whatever, but not, you know, make situations worse by, coming in and raiding entire communities and porting the neighbors. And so there's a no nonsense quality to that. And that's what I'm kind of getting that, I sent you a text with like a piece that I'm working on, and I'm kind of, what am I calling it, kind of the how to be a proper asshole, right? And I think and I think it's kind of related to that no nonsense, that Irish, uh, uh, sense, that the Irish way of engaging in politics. And that is, and basically the idea is that, we are so obsessed, especially from the liberals' perspective, with people being nice instead of focusing on people doing right for all our sakes. In other words, why are we obsessed with a neighbor being nice to me instead of just a neighbor recognizing, I don't care if you like me or you don't. We don't have to love each other, but we're in this community together, and there's some common things that we ought to agree on so that we're both live peacefully, both are able to provide, food, for our families, and have decent jobs and wages, right? That's what we ought to
sure.
be focusing on. So the liberal rhetoric is one that we're like, well, we should all really love each other, and that stuff that that person is saying is just so awful. Let's focus on that. And so
Well,
and so there's a great quote by the Black Panther Stokely Carmichael. I don't know if you're familiar with this, but he said, if a white man wants to lynch me, that's his problem. If he gets the power to lynch me, that's my problem. Okay. Racism is not a question of attitude, it's a question of power. Racism gets its power from capitalism. Thus, if you're anti-racist, whether you know it or not, you must be anti-capitalist. The power of racism, the power of sexism comes from capitalism, not an attitude. So the second part, we could that's a whole different topic. But the question of power, that is exactly right. It's like if you gave me a choice between my neighbor changing his heart and loving Mexicans, right? And my other choice being, a good paying job with great retirement and my kid being able to get quality education, I'm going to choose that every time over my neighbor loving me. I could give a shit. I don't
right.
care.
Yeah,
I mean, it'd be great. It would be great. But here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. The challenge is to talk to that racist asshole and train him to be a proper asshole. Listen, buddy, if you want what's best for you and you're pissed and you hate all these different people, the best way to get what you want is work with the people that you hate on what you want, and don't worry about loving me. I don't have to love you, you have to love me, right? And so I think so that Irish sensibility, right, is kind of like what I think about when I think about this 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 liberal rhetoric that clouds all our conversations and our narratives. We're just not getting to the point that what we want is equality, and let's stop with the liberal niceties.
Well, if I could, a great quote from Malcolm, but there's another great quote, not from an Irish, not from a black man, but from a Jewish comedian named Lenny
Yeah,
Bruce,
yeah.
who I think kind of said what you're saying. And Lenny Bruce, and this is not an exact quote, but it's something along the lines: "I'm so liberal and compassionate and understanding. I have no compassion or understanding for anyone who's not as liberal and compassionate and understanding as I am."
Right.
That was Lenny Bruce.
Yeah.
He nailed it. He nailed it. It was
Yeah.
just,
Yeah.
man, check yourself, kind of check yourself. But yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
It's just,
Hey, so speaking of all this,
yeah.
before we get cut off again,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
can I put a plug in or two for a couple of events that are coming up?
Yeah. Definitely. 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 Go for it.
Okay. So first of all, I should backtrack. Just tell you that the Hooligans, the music group that I play in with, performed at the Berger Performing Arts Center over here at the Deaf and Blind School a few days ago. It was about 500 people. It was a great. It was a whole bunch of different. It wasn't just us. It was a whole bunch of Irish groups in Tucson, like about maybe a dozen, 10 or so different groups that played, and it was a fantastic event. And I particularly liked doing it because if you remember years ago, there was a sinkhole that happened in Barrio Hollywood and affected the Deaf and Blind School. And so I wrote a song based on the song Danny Boy, but it's
Yep.
called Danny Boy the Plumber. And it mentions in it, the deaf and blind will now have to swim upstream. And it ends with the West Side will rise. Let's hope our crap don't too. Anyway, it went over really good. We're going to perform that session that we did at Berger on St. Patrick's Day, which is March 17th, always March 17th, at Bumstead's over by Stone and Speedway. I think we're starting at 3 o'clock or something like that. Maybe a little, I'm not sure, but it'll be at the afternoon of St. Patrick's Day. And please come. They have good food. Good. It's a good vibe. It's a good little pub, and yeah, the Hooligans are taking it over. So that's a personal plug. The other plug,
Nice.
as you know, because you've been such a gracious host to Barrio Hollywood's music extravaganzas, we're starting up a new. In the past, we called it Barrio Hollywood Open Mic. Now we're just calling it Barrio Hollywood Live. because it's not exactly an open mic. We have slots open for people who might just walk in, which is what open mic is. But we actually have planned this time. We're going to have planned special bands that we're going to advertise. So we've moved it from Friday nights because we think that's kind of a limited crowd that comes out on Friday night to Sunday afternoons. It's going to be the second Sunday of the month. We have March 9th coming up. And the other important thing, we've moved it from the El Rio clubhouse to Mariscos Chihuahua, which is the best seafood in town, as far as I'm concerned. Mm-hmm. So over on Grande and Speedway, March 9th is the next one. And we have the Davis School Alumni Mariachi Band as our special guests. And then, a slew of other groups. Everybody gets like 15 minutes to do their thing. And so our group, Hooligans, are going to replicate what we did at the Deaf and Blind School. So there's that. Then April 13th and May 11th will be the next two musical events.
It's every second Sunday of the month, right, Scott?
Sunday of the month, right. So the other Irish thing, of course, is March 16th. 17th is the actual day, but 16th, the Sunday before, is when the St. Patrick's Parade Committee are doing their parade and festival downtown at Armory Park. I'll be there pouring beer and maybe singing a song from the beer spout.
Nice.
They don't let me by the stage anymore at St. Patrick's Day for some reason.
What?
Well, they had me dressed up one year with St. Patrick's Day and played St. Patrick, and I got stinking drunk. So, the fact that they even let me in now, I kind of, it was like, bad Santa. I was like bad Patrick.
When did this happen? I didn't remember this.
A few years ago. Yeah, there's pictures of it.
Oh my gosh! I got to talk to Brunella about that. I did not remember that story.
It wasn't pretty.
That is hilarious. Oh my God, it's funny.
But anyway, so March 16th, Sunday, is when the parade and festival happens. Get down to Armory Park.
And Scott, is this wasn't there? Maybe I'm confusing the PALF, the Labor Day events, but wasn't there a cancellation one year with the St. Patrick's Parade, or has it been?
Yeah, when COVID hit.
Yeah, with COVID, yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's when the mayor picked St. Patrick's Day to close down the city of Tucson. I was like, couldn't you do it after St. Patrick's Day when we were all hungover? No, she's got to do it on our holy day, our one holy, the only
what
holy
the
day
hell
I honor other than Halloween.
Yeah. Hey, so I know we're wrapping things up, but can we just because we did kind of promise to just touch on just a couple of quick local things. Sure. Just a 414 update, RTA, City Council. Can we just kind of just real briefly? What's your
vote no? And I have to say I kind of trash Blake Morlock in the Tucson Sentinel for his support for whatever the Democrats want. However, he wrote another article that he has some good points that he made, and that is the RTA, which is coming right after that. Now we're all hoping the sales tax is going to fail.
Just again to remind people that we're talking about the regressive sales tax Prop 414 that basically would increase the sales tax, and it's regressive in nature and hurts working people and businesses. We want people to vote no on that. Just coming up, you should have your ballot in the mail. 11th. Yeah, March 11th is when you should be mailing it out. No, that's March 11th, the election day.
By March 11th. You need to mail it before then. So
I think March 4th.
I think it is March 4th.
Yeah.
So, I think there are also some locations you can go down and deliver it. You don't have
to. Yeah, you can do it by on election day or mail it out by March 4th to get it on time.
That's very important. And the interesting thing about the opposition to 414, of course, all of the established la máquina, la hina, I call it. They're all fully in support of the sales tax. They want $800 million. They can taste that $800 million like, oh, you can't believe it. Oh, please. We've already quadrupled their raises, and they want even more money to play with, including a spy plane that they want to have. Why Tucson police need a fucking spy plane?
Yeah,
whatever. But hopefully that's going to go. The interesting thing about that, if it does go down, is that you've had the left. I think the Democratic Socialists of America have a group in town,
and the Working Family, I think, party. Yeah,
Working Family, and then those of us who are independent but progressive and neighborhood activists are also organizing about. But
and unions.
and the unions, a number of unions are against it. Also, the realtors are against it.
You're right.
The business community is against it because it's going to
Right.
raise the sales tax higher than any other place in Arizona.
Yes.
So it's an interesting conglomeration. But here's where I got to give Blake Morlock some credit because he's in favor of the sales tax, because he does basically whatever the local
Right.
Democrats want to do. That's how I look at Blake.
So
However,
bad more luck on that.
he made a really great point recently, in a recent article saying, but the RTA, which is coming our way, the Regional Transportation Authority, which is they want to renew it, calling it RTA Next, is also a sales tax. And we know that the business community really wants the RTA passed because that's more sprawl, that's more roads for sprawl, more development, more growth. That's what they want. And Blake correctly says, "Hey guys, the reason that you said you were against the sales tax is because accurately it disproportionately hurts poor people. That's true. So does the RTA tax." So he's basically saying if you're against that, and he's right, you should be against both for the same reasons.
Right. But
So
what? So what? So Mike, and I haven't read the piece. But so if he's saying that we should be consistent, is he taking a position against the? Now, is it? Well,
no,
let's step back.
I'm sure he's going to be for the RTA as well. I mean,
Okay.
he's
Is this
already,
a new? Is that going to be on the ballot as well here coming up
yes, yes,
in the
I
fall?
believe
In the
so.
fall?
I think so. I think they're planning
Okay.
to have it in the fall. Yeah.
What the hell? And so mayor and council is had taken a position on that as well.
Well,
Mhm.
see, I think they're still negotiating because and again, you got even though I consider myself an adversary, not an enemy, but an adversary of the mayor and the council,
Right.
they are right to say that the city got screwed by the RTA, by the
Oh,
county,
100%. Yeah.
the other jurisdictions.
Yeah.
The projects for the city were left at the end, and all of a sudden they ran out of money. Now
Right.
we're being asked to vote again to give them more money for projects we already approved and we already supposedly paid for. So
Right.
it's a mess, and and the I forget the name of the guy who runs it. Everybody hates.
Right.
And yeah, so the city was right to say that they want to go on their own. That Pima County is not the Pima County jurisdictions aren't treating the city fair. I understand
Yeah.
that, but I just well, for me, I don't trust the city council to do anything what they
Well,
say they're going to do.
and,
So
and as you remember, Scott, I mean, this goes back to the early 2000s. I remember when I was at the Ward 3, chief of staff for Ward 3, 2005 to 2010. I mean, the whole conversation there was, about revolved around the unfair governance of the RTA, where the city of Tucson making up the large portion of the population having only one freaking vote.
of
And
course,
as much as we love our friends in South Tucson, it's a square mile. They have an equal vote.
right,
And Marana has
and
an
Marana,
equal vote.
and so Anita,
What the hell?
yeah,
So
of
so so to me, it's like,
course,
back then, I always had a problem with the regional, politics, where it's like, this push to regionalize all our services, because the city gets screwed, especially if it's under a structure where all of Tucson, what, the 600,000
look,
population, the big population, only gets one vote on the RTA. That's crazy.
the city should have never agreed to it. But if you remember, this was an era when Chuck Huckleberry, the king of Pima County, the
Right.
Chuckster, as we used to call him, the Chuckster was in total control. Once he put Mike Hine in as the city manager. And
Right.
once Chuck had his crony in there, he got the city to do whatever the hell the county wanted, which includes the RTA.
100. Yeah. Yep.
And
Oh,
that's what
definitely.
happened. So, yeah, I mean, the Chuckster, who now should be totally disparaged for the way he ripped off the taxpayers with his double dipping schemes. They should rip his name off of the Huckleberry Loop, you
Right.
know, and just like they should rip down the name of Ekstrom from South Tucson's thing. But that's another story. But yeah, it's ridiculous. The city residents of Tucson should absolutely reject both of these sales tax things. Just tell them, you go back, you find, there's other cities that do other things other than just depend upon sales tax to operate.
Yeah, yeah.
There's
If we lose, if we lose, and I say this with a lot of love and respect to our the chamber friends, right? Because we are aligned on this one, right?
Right.
But if we lose, we need to have a conversation about what we didn't do to make the case against why this regressive sales tax is a bad idea. Because if you have a regressive sales tax that voters are going to be voting on, and in the future we see another regressive sales tax that's being discussed as a possibility, and we didn't leverage that possibility into the conversation for voters to consider, then we deserve to lose.
Well, yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Because if you know what I'm saying? Because if you because the people, the liberals and the folks that are kind of like, well, yeah, it's kind of regressive. Yeah, we don't want to hurt working people, but our roads are a mess. And yeah, who doesn't want public safety? The spy plane, that's kind of weird, but yeah, we need to pay for this stuff. And I'm doing pretty good. I'm a slumlord in Menlo Park, and I got my stuff,
I know who you're talking about.
I know you know who I'm talking about. And so I'm cool with it, but you know what? Let's just like look away and just vote for this thing because we need this thing. So there's people that are kind of in that mindset, but they're just almost kind of listening to us. They almost kind of feel guilty. But then if they hear the fact that, oh, by the way, on top of this regressive sales tax, we got another one that's coming with the RTA. And if they know about it, they're going to be like, oh, wait, what the fuck? Forget this.
There's some conjecture that the reason why the business community is supporting opposition to 414 is they're hoping that with people voting against 414, they'll get it out of their system and then vote for the RTA.
Well, that's where temporary alliances come, right? So exactly, we're friends one day and then we go at it against each other the next day, right? So hey, you know what? That happened. That's the Irish thing I'm talking about there, buddy.
This reminds me of another funny.
Yeah, tell me.
You reminded me.
Yeah.
No permit. We were one day. We were in the elevators right after a board of supervisors meeting, and I'm in with my boss Ray Carroll, and Sharon Bronson, who was on the board at the same time, and we had been fighting with Sharon Bronson for some time, and we really only kind of made up after Raul Grijalva left to run for Congress, and then everybody kind of made up, and we realized where all the division was coming from. But anyway,
right.
Ray and Sharon voted for something together. I forget what it was, some project. And the three of us are getting into the elevator together, and we're going up to. So Huckleberry is on the 10th floor. Board of Supervisors offices are on the 11th floor. So we're heading up. And Bronson, after every meeting, would go into Huckleberry's office to make sure she said everything right, and he was happy and that kind of thing.
Right. And
we had the opposite attitude about Huckleberry. At that time. Anyway, so we're going up in the elevator, and Ray turns to Sharon and goes, Sharon, it's nice to work together sometimes. It's nice that, that we voted together here, and, maybe we could build on this in the future and that kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Being very diplomatic. And Bronson says, I'll never forget, Bronson says, well, I always say no permanent friends and no permanent
enemies.
Yeah. Just then the door opened up to the 10th floor. Bronson walks out, the door's closed, and Ray turns to me and goes, she sure doesn't know the fucking Irish, does she?
With a grudge?
Yeah,
for the grudge thing.
Exactly.
Yeah. Don't let go of that grudge.
The grudge, man.
We're gonna be petty as fuck, and we're that's just how we're gonna do it. No, and so funny. And that's funny. That's good. And so, but again, the I'm hoping that the level of sophistication in Tucson is such that on the left, at least on the left in Tucson, recognizes that we have to be strategic, sober, and clear-eyed with our local politics.
Sober, man. Come on, man. You had me. Well, strategic, and then you lost me on sober.
just enough of us, to get some, make some progress in this local shit show, and recognizing that, you know what, it is, we do have power in temporary alliances, but being realistic and recognizing that sometimes there's people that with that Venn diagram we talk about, right? Is like, where, listen, on this aggressive sales talks on Prop 414, uncommon allies of coming together. But that does not mean that once, if we win this one, that all bets are off,
Well,
and now
that's
we
why I
need to
say
look forward.
we use Blake Morlock's article
Yeah,
to highlight. The
yeah,
other thing that is very important, once the sales tax is over and we focus on RTA,
hmm,
the important thing about the important thing about transportation is what effect some of these policies have on our barrios and our neighborhoods and in our working class areas, because their rapid corridor thing that they're trying to push from the north side malls to the airport, right through South Tucson, right through vulnerable neighborhoods, is
right,
something we really that the neighborhood people really need to understand, that if they develop these high speed corridors without protecting the affordable housing in the area, it's going to do exactly what the trolley did, or the, what do you call it,
I'm on a streetcar.
the streetcar. Yeah, sorry, the streetcar. Got to get my pronouns right.
Yeah.
The streetcar, that whole from where it is, from Cushing Street all the way to the university, been highly gentrified. I
Right,
mean, the business community went, "Oh wow, this is perfect." A bunch of rich college students are going to be getting off all these stops.
right.
So if they do this corridor thing, that has to be discussed. What effect are you having on the neighborhoods that this corridor goes through? And the
Yeah.
city doesn't seem to give a shit, really.
And so what you're saying is that community folks need to be aware of those considerations that would be in the proposed regional
Yes,
sales
absolutely.
tax that might be coming up. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, that people need to
Specifically,
know that.
specifically the rapid corridor.
Yeah, yeah,
Specifically that.
yeah.
Yes.
If and again, for the folks that are opposing 415 votes, so maybe the chamber may not be want this, but the working family and other progressive folks, leftists in Tucson, if I was in charge of this campaign and I had a budget for this campaign, I would be talking about the regional, I would be talking about Prop 14 regressive sales tax and the upcoming regional regressive sales tax in
Sure.
every goddamn sentence for
Absolutely.
every goddamn interview,
Yeah.
coupling both, messaging on that over and over and over again. Anybody
Sure.
in door-to-door literature, regional regressive sales tax, Prop 414, two. You got two regressive sales tax coming, and so that's my concern. So if we lose, I just feel that we didn't do enough. I see a lot of signs that
Yeah.
say no on Prop 414 throughout, but if you're not knocking on doors,
Right.
and I'm just kind of concerned about that. I don't know if anybody's really knocking on. I got a text from the working family
Uh-huh.
to get people, but I think it was kind of like this, like go out and vote. It was kind of a generic, so it might have been connected to the funding, where you can't really say, to take a position. So they're kind of leveraging that and just to get this kind of just to get people out to vote. But that's not going to be enough, So I'm just kind of concerned that we don't have, maybe the op-eds are going to be enough. Maybe the fact that the lefties that are opposed to anything, any kind of funding for police, the spy plane is going to resonate with them, and that's going to lead for it to fail. But if we don't win with this one, if we don't defeat it like we defeated the TEP initiative, remember that one, it'll be because we didn't put enough. Okay, so just to wrap things up, so the council, let's touch on that. You said you wanted to talk about the council races real quick.
Well, just yeah. So the primary election for the city of Tucson is coming up on August 5th.
Mm-hmm.
That's the Democratic primary, which is the only race that matters. I mean, it would
And
my
for Ward 6?
well, there's Ward 6, Ward 5, and Ward 3.
And okay, yeah.
So three is the only one. We have Ditto Dahl. He's the only incumbent that's running this time. So there's Dahl,
Yeah.
and 5, Fimbres is not running. in
Right.
6. Karen Ulick is not running.
So
So
those are the only two that are competitive.
only two that are competitive. So in Ward 5, the Selena Barajas is the one that seems to have all the support. My old
By
buddy
who?
just
By who?
by seems like everyone by La Máquina
Machine?
Rajina.
Okay. All right. No one's
They're,
challenging her?
Owens Challenger and South Tucson apparently is supporting her too, and she seems to have all the juice behind her. But
Okay.
I mean, I don't live in the ward, so I'm not voting. But I like Jesse Lugo. I'm not sure if he'd be the greatest council member, but I like the guy.
He
He's
would
been
be running in the general as a Republican?
no, he's a Democrat.
Oh, he's a Democrat. Oh,
Yeah,
okay. Okay.
no one cares about Republicans.
Right.
Miguel.
Everybody's yeah.
There's a zillion more independents in this.
Ward
Republican.
6, Ward
And
6,
really
Ronstadt,
that, let me see. Yeah, it's possible
Yeah.
Republican can win.
Yeah. Walk up.
Not only walk up, Kazachek won.
Kazachek, yeah. We started off as a Republican,
Yeah,
right?
remember it very well.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, so there's that.
And Ward 3?
Ward 3, I don't know who's running. I really don't know who's running. And Ward 6 is a shitload of people. Teresa Reel, who's with Pima Community College. This guy, Leighton Rockefeller, just by the name Rockefeller. I don't know anything about him, but I don't know.
All right.
Jen Syntax, Jay Tolkoff, and then Miranda Schubert, who, if I was a betting man,
That's the machine candidate.
that's the machine candidate. They're going to do.
Right.
They're going to do to her exactly what they did to Elaine Santa Cruz. You can expect hundreds of thousands of dollars coming in from outside the city of Tucson.
Right.
Prop her up. She's probably the number one YIMBY in Tucson. Yes, in my back. Yes to the developers. We don't need parking because everyone should be walking or riding their bicycles.
Yeah.
You don't need backyards. You don't need any. It's the same crap, but it's in a leftist form. It's
right.
In a nice, And I know she's a good person. From everyone I know that knows her, says she's a very good person.
Yeah, she's a good person. She works at KXCI. She's nice enough, right?
Volunteers at Casa Maria, where I volunteer.
Yeah.
We could do a lot worse than Miranda Schubert, but just know she's going to be another ditto.
She ain't going to be no Steve Kazachek.
No.
Right.
No. And we're not going to have another Steve Kazachek.
No.
He was exceptional. He was
from the left. I mean, if you're a leftist, right, and if you consider yourself a progressive, if you consider yourself a leftist, and if you consider yourself consider your politics to be for working families,
right,
as a voter, you should be thinking which candidate is more likely to carry on the Steve Kazachek worldview.
Sure.
Are we going to have any kind of candidate that would live up to that? I don't know. But I mean, if you truly want to push a working people's perspective, that's what you should be asking. Sure. That's what the debate should be. We should be checking and see where was Steve Kazachek and how do candidates compare? Okay. And
the only other thing I would say, besides that we're facing, and I know it's going from low to high, and that is any bets on how soon Raul Grijalva will resign his congressional seat?
Well, I saw who was it that wrote something that was calling on his resignation. It was another letter on calling his resignation. Can't remember where it was, but I don't know. I mean, it
was Blake Morlock.
Was it Blake again? Yeah.
And also Tim Steller had suggested he think about it or something.
All right. It was very kind of.
Morlock was like, "Get out of there, man! Get out of there."
Yeah.
And, I mean, yeah.
It's tough, man.
We had Joe Biden. We had all these people that should not be in office.
Yeah.
And Raul should resign, but at the same time, it's going to be a long time before he's replaced. I mean, I understand why these people, they get into power and they clutch onto it, Miguel. It's like that's what Biden did. That's what the one from San Francisco, the Senator Murkowski, whatever it was.
Right.
There was they find just a congressional person who is in an old folks home somewhere that they just. I mean, it's like. Again, this is the end of the empire, man. If people don't show up, it's like no one even notices, no one even cares. It's like once you're an incumbent, you're in there for life, and that's
Yeah.
not what democracy is supposed to be, man.
It's such a tough thing. Obviously, we talked last show how we want the best for him and his family, and
Sure,
you
sure,
know, and it's a tough situation. But yeah, and I mean, it's not a personal thing at all. It's like strictly just a civic civic position, I guess. You know, it's like we need someone to represent us.
right.
Nothing personal about it. It could be Mother Teresa. It could be whoever.
And in
He
spite
does
of,
need to resign. Yeah.
and yeah, I got to say, in spite of my own personal problems with Raul, because Raul and I have known each other from the '70s. I worked on his first campaign when he ran for school board in like 1974 or something.
Hmm.
So the '70s, '80s, and '90s, we were good friends. But I haven't talked to him in 20 years. We don't get along, but that doesn't mean I don't think he was a good
Yeah.
congressman. He
Yeah. He was at
represented.
my wedding. Yeah, it was
Uh,
at my wedding.
he, he,
You
he
know,
he was a good
things change.
congressman.
Yeah.
He- he-
Political. So it's nothing to do with personal,
right,
relationships. And yeah,
right,
but politically, I mean, we don't. I mean, especially now, what's happening nationally. I mean, it's like the progressive and the liberal, you know, folks on are being super pitchforky
right.
about Democrats needing to speak up for us. And so when you're not even present, again, because of a health, issues, it's a tough situation to be in right now.
Absolutely, and especially considering how close it is, because Massey, the one decent Republican in the whole congressional milieu, is Thomas Massey, an independent, libertarian Republican. He voted against the budget. If Grihal was there and voted against the budget, that would have made it a one-vote majority for the Republicans, and I think Blake pointed this out. That could have been pointed right to Ciscomani.
Yeah.
Hey, man, you could have stopped this shit that's going on here. You could have
Yeah.
protected Medicare and Medicaid. You could have, So the fact that Raul wasn't there highlights the fact of how important every single vote is at this point, because the Republicans are just, they pretend like they got a great big mandate. Trump won with 49% of the vote. I remember
Yeah.
getting into an argument with the guy right after the election. I said, "Yeah, Trump, man, it was a landslide." And a friend of mine's younger son said, "No, it wasn't a landslide. It was much closer." And he was right. I had to apologize to him later. I said, "You're right. I thought it was a landslide once I looked at it. No, this is very close." And Republicans are already deserting this cocksucker. They're
Hmm.
already
Hmm.
tired of his shit. They're like, "Hey, we didn't think you were going to invade Greenland. We didn't think you were going to want
Right.
to invade Canada or piss
Right.
off Mexico or Panama Canal or all this other crazy shit he's talking."
We didn't think our eggs could be $10 a cart.
Yeah, yeah. What happened on day one? I'm going to
Yeah.
destroy inflation.
Yeah. No,
So of course,
no tax on our tips, no tax on Social Security.
the Trumpites are they're going to wake up to a hard reality that all the promises he made aren't coming true.
Yeah.
So
So right now is not the time for us to mess with a lack of representation, especially because we have the momentum there in getting some of the folks that are tired of Trump
right.
and peeling away those folks. I mean, I think the biggest and the best, or the best way to the best argument in trying to persuade Congressman Grijalva to step down is really using his words and his argument when he called for Biden to step down.
He was the first one to call for Biden.
He was the first one to call for Biden, and his thing was like, and he what he said publicly, at least, it says, "Hey, nothing personal,
right,
a lot at stake.
right.
This election is bigger than all of us.
Yep, yep.
Biden, you're just." He didn't say it, but he said it. He said it without saying it.
Sure.
You're an old guy. You're not physically able to do this.
And he was
you
right.
need to retire, and he was right.
And it took courage
for
him to do that. He was right.
Yeah.
And it took courage to him to do that.
Right. So I don't know if it's going to be a Murlock and us, two dudes on the West Side talking about this is going to be enough to convince Raul to step down. But
Raul's not listening to us, man.
No.
Any of his group, they're going to be like, "Oh, gee, I wonder what Miguel and Egan think about it." No, that conversation is not happening.
And his term ends what? He has a next fall, right? Or this fall? Is this when his term ends? He just got elected.
He just got elected, I believe.
Dude, come on. We can't. 2 more years. Wow. I just don't see. Yeah, that's rough. That's tough.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. Hey, just final thing. So as far as unions with the council races, what have unions taken a position on any particular candidates?
I don't think. I think they're still waiting to see who's actually. It's easy to take out papers. It's another thing to get your petitions in with signatures, as we well
Oh,
know.
that's right. Yeah, 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 yeah.
I
So no,
think
no
they're going
one's
to
taking.
wait to see who actually is flushed out here, who's bullshitting, and who actually has the wherewithal to pull this off.
Yeah.
So I mean,
All right, buddy.
some people jumped out already. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Hey, man. So great to spend all fucking Sunday morning with.
It's better than listening to the goddamn news. By the way, I avoid the news Sunday. Pernell and I used to watch news regularly, but now there's a great podcast called Useful Idiots.
Useful idiots. Yes,
I
absolutely.
just
Every
love it.
Monday.
And right, and they're like, we watch the news so you don't have to. Let us tell
Yes.
you what a sack of shit of lies they just fed us. So
Oh, I can't agree with you more. I can't recommend enough that folks check out Useful Idiots. It's every Monday. It's kind of funny because you go to their YouTube channel, but you want to click on live. Because I think people sometimes don't know that they click on videos, it's not going to come up on the video. It's going to come up on the live tab.
yeah.
And so because they go live every Monday. And so if you don't want to see it live, that's okay, but you still have to click on the live tab, and then you'll see the date. You'll see, Monday, tomorrow will be the 3rd of March, right? And so they do a great thing where they do a recap exactly of all the Sunday news shows.
Aaron Mate is a brilliant, really brilliant reporter who's done incredible work, not only on Israel, Palestine, and on Ukraine, but on Syria and other things. And then Katie Halpern, his co-host.
Yeah.
It's just great. They're both Jewish and they're both very pro-Palestinian rights. So it's a delight to hear them speak. But Katie Halpern, we were in Ireland last summer, and we went to a Irish Palestinian lecture with a top Palestinian guy, top Irish Republican guy, Danny Morrison, who's just an amazing person, and a Palestinian guy, and they had Palestinian music and Irish music combined. It was really cool. I mean,
nice.
Ireland understands Palestine.
Oh yeah,
in their blood. But anyway,
as do Mexicans.
Katie,
100%.
Prunella was sitting on. My wife was sitting on one side of me, and Katie Halpern actually was sitting to the left of me. I'm like,
wow.
I'm sitting next to Katie Halpern. I'm so I got.
Yeah.
I got to say, so what can I say? What can I say to her? I mean, she's right next to me. It's like, so finally I said, hey, where's Aaron? She goes, New York. I went, oh, good. And I just sat down, like a starstruck little kid. Like, oh, I said something to her.
That's funny.
New York back to me. Good enough.
Yeah.
It was very cool. But she's got a great sense of humor. I mean,
she does.
That's the wonderful thing about their show is they really make me laugh
they do. No, and it's interesting that most of the podcasts that I'm listening to right now, ironically, are Jewish hosts that are extremely strong on the question of Palestine. The Majority Report with Seth
Max Blumenthal in Gray Zone. Max Blumenthal.
Exactly, that's a good one.
Jeffrey Sachs just gave a speech at the European Union that would blow your socks off. Anyone who argues with me about Ukraine, and I have a number of friends who do, I said, listen to Jeffrey Sachs at the European Union and I don't want to hear your emotion that Putin's a Nazi, whatever. Let's talk facts. Listen to his speech to the European Union and tell me one thing that he said that's not true. So Jeffrey Sachs is another important person to listen to, and John Mearsheimer is another. Anyway,
people get your and Amy Democracy Now. Amy Goodman, who's also Jewish, right? She's been around for forever, and is always she's more like kind of the straight news and that kind of thing, but she's a good, amazing journalist who's always been very consistent with her Democracy Now! Show. So
just a funny thing, I know we're at the end here, but just one funny thing I got to say. Yeah. So President Sheinbaum of Mexico.
Yeah.
Fantastic replacement for AMLO. I mean, talk about AMLO's legacy is going to live. That's great.
Right.
because
Right.
AMLO was a good guy, and she's good too. But she's Jewish. Her background, her
Yes.
parents emigrated, and when she gave her speech, so she's Jewish, like you said, and pro-Palestinian, like a lot of
Mm-hmm.
Jewish people are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
when she gave her speech, let me just finish. And when she
Yeah.
gave
Yeah.
her speech, she uh, the Christian Zionists here in America
It's a funny
attacked
story.
her. They said she's not Jewish. She's not really Jewish because when she gave her acceptance speech, she praised Jesus. What kind of Jew would praise Jesus? And she was
Right.
praising her husband, Jesus.
Jesus. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Talk
It's
about
Jesus, man.
stupidity.
Oh my God. No, it's
You know,
hilarious. I mean,
gracias a Jesus.
yeah, no, it's hilarious. And then with the yeah, Presidenta Claudia Sheinbaum. I mean, I would recommend folks to listen to the Mañanera. They do a press conference daily that lasts a couple hours
Oh, really?
daily. Yeah.
Huh.
So you can do that. In fact, it's a good way to learn Spanish if you're like a lefty and you want to know about politics and listen to this. It's every single morning. I think it's 7 o'clock. It runs live, and it's just basically her Claudia and her staff, and they go on. And the great thing about that is like hey, not every system is perfect. Of course, with the Mexican government and the Morena party, not perfect by all means. There's some questions about union, repression and that kind of thing. But when you have a president of a sovereign nation just including in their language the phrase neoliberalism, just to say
Yeah.
neoliberalism or something is neoliberal, just that alone is enough to like open up your ears and go, okay, let's see what are they talking about there. So it is something very special. I mean, it is very special. We should be critical thinkers. We shouldn't be like like a hero worship or whatever, and be clear-eyed about her as a president. But there's no denying that this is something special. What she's doing is the way she's standing up to Trump is something special. The way she's her working people's platform is something extremely special. On the heels of AMLO, and what he did, it's going to be interesting to see how Trump deals with it. And as us as lefties here in the United States, it's just that needs to be part of your political diet
Yeah.
to be following and listening to what Presidenta Claudia Sheinbaum is talking
Great.
about.
And also the whole question of asylum is very important because we might be looking for Mexico to get asylum for ourselves by
No
the time
shit.
this fascist shit is over, man.
No shit, man. Well, it's Kipe is closer than I don't know what you got going on over in Ireland, Scott.
Well, I got
Certainly,
my
yeah.
Irish passport, so I'm a dual citizen. I
Good,
just got to make it over the border, and I'll be fine.
good
I
man,
don't
good
know
man.
about
So
you, man, but
well, I'll tell you what. Well, let's spend summers in Ireland, and then you and Pernella can spend winters in Rio Sonora with us. How's that sound?
sounds really good. I actually know a friend of mine who's a Palestinian who has a place in Mexico. He has a place in Tucson and a place in Mexico.
Nice.
And he went to Ireland this summer, fell in love with the place. Of course, the Irish, like I said, are very pro-Palestinian.
Yeah.
Fell in love. He's selling his place in Tucson. He's moving his family to Ireland, and then he'll spend the winters in Mexico and the summer and the rest of the year in Ireland.
What the?
A Palestinian
I
president
hate that guy.
fell in love with
I
Ireland.
fucking hate that
I
guy.
know,
That is
I
the most
know.
ideal
Oh yeah,
situation.
absolutely.
Does he need his luggage taken care
Yeah,
of? Does he
yeah.
what? Does he need a butler? I'll learn how to cook, Scott. Hook me up with that situation. That would be heaven.
It's amazing because you go in Belfast, which is a very divided city, and you have the Unionists, pro-British Unionists in one part of the city, East Belfast, and you have the pro-Irish people on the West Belfast. And in between East and West Belfast, there's a wall that's called the Peace Wall, which the Brits built to stop the rioting between the two different traditions. And even though there's been peace since 1999, the wall is still up, but they open up the gates between the walls during the day. If there's trouble, they'll close them at night and so forth. But anyway, On the Irish side of the wall, they have these incredible murals, just beautiful, beautiful murals.
Mm.
And a lot of them are pro-Palestinian, pro-Irish, pro-Kurdistan, pro-Catalonia. You know, the Irish have an affinity to any small nation fighting for its identity. So
Of course.
all these, you go on the other side of the British side of the wall, the pro-unionist side, it's the Queen, the King, and Israeli flags.
Oh my God.
Israeli posters. I mean, you couldn't see a more stark difference.
Yeah, geez.
You know, and it
That's
makes
hilarious.
sense because those that settled Ireland for the British, mostly Scotch Irish, came in. It was a colonial thing, exactly what the Israelis have done in Palestine.
Yeah.
Take over their land, force the people out, starvation. The Brits used the potato famine to starve the people.
Mm-hmm.
Israelis are just doing it outright, So a lot of similarities. But anyway,
Yeah. Yeah.
yakking away. Sorry.
I'll send you an image that I have of maybe you've seen it already, but there's an image of a Palestinian soldier and a Zapatista. Have you seen that image before?
Oh no.
Yeah,
No.
I'll send that to you. It's kind of a cool one where it kind of just celebrates the commonality, of the whole land grabbing the Southwest and how, many of the Mexican struggle is very, very, very similar to the Palestinian struggle. And I think people like the Unión del Barrio in San Diego have talked about the common, histories and common struggle. And there's some beautiful artwork that's come from that. There's one particular one I'll send to you. But
I'd like to see that.
on that note, on the note of the Irish, soldado and the Mexican soldado.
One more quick thing before we go.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
quick. So Brunel and I recently saw Nahil. What's his first name? Last name is Nahil. But anyway, he's an Irish comedian, and he played over at 191 Tool a few weeks ago, and it was great. So he talked about Irish in Mexico and different experiences, and he brought up the San Patricio Brigade, the Irish who deserted the U.S.
San
Army,
Patricios, right?
fought for Mexico against the invaders.
Yep.
And he said, he explained the whole thing. The Irish came to America and they got recruited to the army and they went down to Mexico and they converted to the other side because the Mexicans had a secret weapon that nobody knew they have. They're called Latinas.
Right.
Anyway, it was very funny. Very
That's hilarious.
Guy, Nahil. Last name is Nihill. Can't remember his first name, but he was
That's funny. Absolutely. No, man. No, on that note, man. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. The listening to what I remember, listening to the Catholic church bells. I read about that where like with the Irish soldiers being spat on by the Protestants hunkered down, being like treated like crap. And as they slept during the Mexican-American War, they could hear on the other side the Mexican Catholic church bells and somewhere there they made the connection where the poor working people of Mexico, they had more in common with them than they had with the Yankees, who are basically using them as a slave, or what do you call it, inscripted soldiers or whatever. So yeah.
There's
All
a
right.
wonderful album by the Chieftains.
Yeah, hell yeah.
One of Ireland's premier traditional bands for San Patricio. The whole album is dedicated to the San Patricios.
Oh, I love that album.
If you haven't heard it, yeah, people should listen to it. It's really great.
What's that one? The song that
Sands of Mexico.
That one, and then also there's a collaboration with Los Tigres del Norte.
Yeah.
And I can't remember the name of it, but it's beautiful. And it's all about missing the hometown. I can't believe Maricela's gonna yell at me for not remembering the name. I can't remember. But anyways, that's a wonderful song as well. Yeah, that whole album, the Chieftains, that whole album.
Canción Mixteca.
Yes, Canción Mixteca. There you go. Leave it to the Irishmen.
Irishman to tell a Mexican it's not fucking culture, man.
That's the way to wrap it up in March. I'll let you have that one. Totally embarrassed this Mexican over here. What the hell?
I love
man.
that song. I love that song.
Yes, it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Scott,
yes, I love it.
Hey, we're singing that on St. Patrick's Day. So come to
yeah.
Steads on the March 17th, Monday, March 17th. I'll sing that song just for you, brother.
Yes, and that event, I encourage everybody to come. Anybody is watching right now and going, God, okay, well, shit, I've always listened to, machine politics and Democrats, and they're kind of making sense to me. They are lefty. All the rumors about them being right-wing Republican operatives, oh, that doesn't sound like me at all. Well, you have an opportunity to go to the Barrio Hollywood Live, the second Sunday of every month, have a beer with us and talk some more local politics and get to know, talk with me, talk with Scott, talk with Bernella, talk with all the rebel rousers on the West Side on those second Sundays. Hell yeah!
Next week, it's next Sunday, man. 3
That's
o'clock.
right.
Mariscos Chihuahua next Sunday.
Absolutely. All right. So just housekeeping. So we have part 1 in Scott's domain and part 2 in Miguel's domain. So don't forget to subscribe to Scott's Substack, which is Bog News, because Pernella said so, your PR agent. And so mine is the Westside Populist. So subscribe to that.
Actually, the way people can reach mine is Scott D. Egan, Scott D. Egan.
No, it's not. See now, and okay. I got you back. Now I got you back for embarrassing this Mexican.
I'm spreading misinformation.
I think you're incorrect about. I think you're incorrect about your own Substack again. It's Bog News. If Pernella is anywhere nearby, she'll confirm to find you as Bog News.
All I can tell you is when I started printing on Substack, I doubled my readership within a couple of days.
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised, brother. I'm not surprised. No, and so definitely follow Scott. When's your next one coming out? You gonna do it like you do it monthly, right?
Yeah, I tried to do it monthly, but I didn't do it in February. Just too busy.
Okay.
Coming out within the next week.
Right on.
I think I'm gonna concentrate on Raul Grijalva. Before he dies, I have a few things to say about my long relationship with him. So I think that's what I'm gonna do.
That'd be nice, man. That'd be nice.
Okay,
guys.
It'll be honest.
Well, it'll be something. It'll be something.
Yeah.
Well, guys. Okay, this is the Westside Populist Part 2 segment of this Sunday morning chat with Scott Egan of Bog News. Take good care, guys. Thanks again, Scott. We'll do it again in a month.
Sounds great.
Okay, buddy. This is the Westside Insurgency segment of Westside Populist. Take care, guys.
All right.
A rato. Don't let that tie squeeze the chicanismo out your brain. Paz y guerra. Take care, buddy.